There's still thousands of them in Afghanistan. Jihadist terror groups have been using them for years as their primary IEDs.
Hannah, you hearing this? Agent Wells, the bomb is...
unexploded munition you think was used by a Mideast terror group, either ISIS, Al-Qaeda, or the Taliban to blow up our capital. Yes, I heard you. And that's one theory.
You got another one?
All right. In the weeks leading up to the big ones, 9/11, Paris, Belgium, the chatter we were getting was off the charts. Something was coming, we just didn't know what it was. Do you know what I'm hearing now? Nothing. No breaks in any of the routines in the mosques or camps we're inside. No one is relocating their wives or children in anticipation of our counterattacks. It's business as usual. That makes no sense.
So you're saying the bomb isn't one of theirs?
I'm saying that if they did this, they'd be crowing right now. There is a reason the people who did this are keeping silent about it.
That is?
You don't take credit for something until you're done, right? So what if they're just getting started?
The key word in what she just said is the word counterattack. Generally, whenever the US hurts civilians, bombs churches, cafes, outside markets, etc., the word we use is not attack, but counterattack. It's not called terrorism, it's called counterterrorism. Yet most wars the US has been involved in, except maybe World War II, are not actually caused by a foreign attack. Even after 9/11, the motivation for war was not so clear. For example, the US attacked Iraq even though it had nothing to do with 9/11. The other problem with this episode of Designated Survivor is that it doesn't explore the reasoning behind the terrorist attacks. They just assume it's bad people who hate the USA.
The dust of Raqqa said something different. Amnesty International now says several of those coalition strikes violated international law, that not nearly enough care was taken to protect civilians. The stench and flies told of bodies buried in the rubble, the danger too high to count them because of all the mines. The city littered with unexploded ordnance. This woman found herself in the basement of a building bombed by the coalition, trying to protect orphaned kids.
تحت التراب ضلينا يومين تحت البناية ال5 طوابق.
This family, the Badrans, lost 39 members in 4 separate airstrikes. We're constantly moving to avoid them. Everyone in this video eventually killed by a strike just a few days after these pictures were taken.
The reason terrorist groups form and the reason they attack is because they want the US and other Western countries to stop bombing them, stop controlling their oil, stop controlling their governments. We should all try to look in the mirror, then try to stop bad people. For example, we should stop selling arms to Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia has already killed
tens of thousands of people and, according to the UN, at least 1,300 children.
These are very simple solutions that could minimize terrorism, or, to use a more proper term, retaliation. We could minimize retaliation. To ignore the reality of a long history of US domination in the Middle East, and to make the Middle Eastern terrorists look as if they are coming out of nowhere, is simply propaganda.
Leading up to the big ones, 9/11, Paris, Belgium.